Happy almost Halloween. My name is Caito, and thanks. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I totally read the notes on using the mic. As he said, I am a software engineer at New Relic, and I'm here to talk to you about Focus. Firstly, I work on this team. Uh-oh. Is there a delay, or is it? There we go. I think I'm on the right slide. Is it moving yet? Well, just pretend it's moving. I work on this team. This is actually us challenging another team at our company to a dance-off. Apparently, maybe that was too intense for it. Well, we were having too much fun, apparently, for the slides. So the question is, though, how do we have this much fun and get all this work done? So there's some key components to this that really deserve their own talk, such as retrospectives and team trust. But tonight, I'm going to focus on focus. So focused. Are you focused right now? Maybe? Anxious about networking for a new career? Preoccupied with what your dog is going to wear for Halloween tomorrow? No judgment. Wondering about dinner, or kind of in a food coma for those delicious donuts? Also no judgment. When we don't have it, it can feel out of reach. And when we do have it, we can get completely lost in it. There are blogs, books, webinars. There's more information than is possible to focus on Focus. We go to huge lengths to force ourselves to get it. So here's what I did. First, I tried to just reevaluate and change how I thought about Focus. Instead of trying to force myself to pay attention to something, I had to first understand what were my obstacles. So the obvious one is distraction. All very fun things to think about, actually. And the interesting part is that I found that some of the most successful techniques on Focus and time management were actually about embracing that distraction. Because distraction is actually your most powerful weapon in attaining focus. So we all know that fidgeting and boredom, these are all signs that you're not focused, right? But there's a little bit more to it than that. Fidgeting and restlessness are your body's way of signaling that you have to stop, or hammer time. I'll take both interpretations. My body's always telling me it's hammer time. So it's this way of telling you that you need movement and brain rest. Without it, you're actually much more likely to become way less productive. A rested brain has more energy for focusing. And while at rest, the brain can actually better absorb knowledge, meaning that breaks taken during learning are even more important and critical. Even MIT has recommendations for how to take healthy breaks on their official study site for new students. Okay, so how do we optimize that information? First, there's practicing awareness of when you feel bored or disengaged from the current task. We often discuss this on my team, how to recognize when others are feeling disengaged and how to best keep each other accountable for actually using that as a guideline for our workflow. Second, assess preventable distractions. This can include actions you can do to minimize disruptions before they happen, because there's actually a lot of really predictable interruptions that can happen throughout the day from your teammates, management, etc. Finding ways to show management or other teams that you are available and helpful without letting interruptions dominate your workday can be very challenging, but it can be implemented in different ways, such as having office hours or having a morning stand-up with stakeholders and things like that. These are also really good ways to time box, particularly to time box it to a really manageable set of time, and have a much shorter and more focused discussion with people outside your team, such as management. This can work best when you've done the pre-work to communicate this out, whether it's well-labeled Slack aliases and devoted help channels, or documentation listing those office hours and preferred ways of contacting your team. Another one is maintaining good boundaries on time boxing loose ends for things like checking email or other job-related activities that may not be your main engineering work. Also, there's finding a way to promote calendar awareness amongst your team. Calendar awareness may sound obvious, but it's something we don't always think of or are really intentional about, and can be a really easy trip hazard. Without it, our team's knowledge silos can be much more frequent because we can't accurately plan for someone being unavailable or being pulled away for no reason, or a reason we don't understand. Having a good calendar awareness can also provide space for things like time boxing those loose ends. So then we have accountability. I found that when I've done a lot of pre-work for setting up these boundaries for accountability, I have way more freedom to actually focus on the task at hand. This involves taking time to understand what you need to be accountable to yourself. Maybe it's taking a block out of your time first thing in the morning to make sure that you've had that coffee before you talk to anyone else. Or maybe it's just blocking out time in your calendar for solo or otherwise interrupt-free work. Also, how can you be accountable to your team? What do you have to do to kind of set that baseline? Do you need a team calendar so you can share those times that you're unavailable with the team? Or maybe it's adding more detailed notes to pull requests so that you're not going to get interrupted on it later. Taking the time to think about what you need to do to be accountable to management, other stakeholders, maybe other teams. Do you need a chat channel for your team to communicate the technical decisions to management? Or restructuring your morning stand-up so that your manager gets the most relevant information faster? It was really helpful for me to actually take the time, take a step back, and think about these things with intention, discuss it with the team and management, and even document actionable ways to have us all be able to stay accountable to each other. There's also some really great tools and techniques that I've really loved in working with this. One of them is the point and call, and it feels really silly in the moment, but it's actually proven to be incredibly effective. It was invented in Japan as a tool in really high-risk jobs like air traffic control. The idea is that by pointing at something and verbally confirming what it is, it's solidified in memory both for the speaker and for those around them. Studies have actually shown that this significantly reduces errors. We often do this on my team, particularly for doing really complicated deploys. When we have to deploy to like multiple environments, like, okay, we did this one, we're gonna say it aloud, okay, we all got it, we're on the same page. And this also works really well as a daily exercise for the team. I also love the Pomodoro. It's a pretty well-known technique, and there's tons of apps for it, but what I'm more interested in is how we implement it. So essentially what it is, it's a timer technique aimed at encouraging healthy productivity cycles. On a high level, it's done through a series of work-break pairs, starting with short breaks and then long breaks after a specified number of sessions. There are several philosophies, but the most important of which are that the breaks, particularly the long ones, are used for movement and brain rest, preferably without screens, but that one's a little too hard sometimes. And then these sessions are also meant to be divorced from any particular activity, which allows for more flexibility if the task takes longer or if you do get interrupted. So it's a little bit more realistic. Traditionally, it starts with a 20-minute work session, followed by a 5-minute break, which repeats 4 times, and then you're very hydrated. At this point, the break then changes to 15 minutes, breaks for 2 rounds, and the whole cycle repeats. That's all on like Wikipedia and stuff too. But what I found was most useful was to really make sure I'm iterating on those lengths based on the type of work and how many people are involved. So really taking into account what you need. It's also really important to have defined purposes for breaks because they can mean something really different to different people, and it doesn't have to mean the same thing to everyone. But one thing that I really like to emphasize is at least starting with kind of the main principles. So having long breaks be for brain rest, movement, time to either socialize with teammates or take care of things like personal phone calls, posting pictures to your dog's Instagram, the kind of things that just bring you that joy and a little bit of rest in your day. My team also encourages taking bio breaks, which promotes a very healthy hydration cycle. I'll leave the rest of that to your imagination. Short breaks are for evaluating priority and task management. They can also just be to rest too, but I found it to be pretty helpful to be able to ask a really short set of questions such as, is this still the most important task that I can be working on? Am I done or am I bike shedding? And are we blocked by anyone? So that you can kind of nip that in the bud. And as for collaborative work, brief social engagements for people all involved in the same project has been shown to enable stronger communication. It increases comfort level and it humanizes those around you. So it can really help with really like getting that team connection, that team dynamic going. And the temptation to share kitten videos, discuss the most recent Steven Universe episode, or just load up on snacks, can really dissipate completely. If you know that on your next break, you can do all those things. So you don't have to have that all in your mind at once. And it just makes it so much easier to focus in the moment. And also having the sanctioned time to do these interpersonal activities can really alleviate guilt or anxiety that employees can feel about taking that time that's kind of inevitable for these non-work related tasks or conversations, while also actually keeping it to a minimum. So actually being able to shorten it too. But most importantly, your tools really should not be in a movable object. It should be Play-Doh. Or silly putty or whatever malleable substance you prefer. Fimo dough works pretty well. So don't try to mold yourself around it. Mold it to you, mold it to your needs and your team needs and your business needs. And part of this is that integrating any new habit into your routine can be really challenging. It can take days, it can take weeks to really successfully adapt to a new system. So it's really important to be forgiving with yourself and just remember that you want to mold this around you and your needs and that you don't have to force yourself into it. But if everyone's on board, it can actually be a lot easier to keep people accountable to it. And iteration. So being iterative and flexible on the timer lengths, for instance, for the Pomodoro, has worked really well as long as we're really intentional about it. Iteration, like seriously. And because these tools should be something that you're molding to your needs, there's a couple needs that I started with as a baseline for what I wanted to make sure that those tools could absolutely accommodate for me. So what these tools did was they allowed my brain to rest and not be constantly having to shift gears between engineering work or any other interruptions, which gave me way more energy. It improved communication by creating regular, predictable opportunities for checking in on tasks and projects. And it alleviated anxiety over having to choose when to check emails or worrying about how long a non-work related conversation is taking, while also actually minimizing that time and how much we're spending on any of these things during the day. So as for implementing it, okay, we already talked about it. I'm just really excited about iteration. But for real, iterating on the technique, getting it to mold to your needs. As I said, for the Pomodoro, this could mean, changing the different timer lengths, really being patient with integrating it into your routine, because it's not about being perfect. It's about having a philosophy and some good tools. That's it. Having a defined purpose for your techniques and how you use them, and knowing that you can change those definitions later. I'm not going to say the word again, but it starts with an I. Using distraction as a guideline for any of these tools. So overall, practicing awareness, whether it's for yourself, for your team, or all the above, really focusing on what kind of things that you can prevent, going through your daily list. Are there interruptions that you get every day? Are there things that you may or may not get from another team? But if you can find a way to filter those things through someone who's on call or have better Slack aliases for it, or a bot that shows up and tells them what to do, there's a lot of ways to really minimize these. I know it feels like it takes time, but it's like so worth it. Taking the time to understand what you need to be accountable to yourself and your teammates. And my favorite part is just knowing your tools. Learn about them, experiment with them, and having fun practicing with it. And that's it. And hammer time. Never forget hammer time. So thanks.